Oh, I was just watching TV. Let's see who is here. Bruce Garrick.
Huh.
Fancy meeting you. Welcome here to my house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come
Great
on in.
stuff. Oh, here we are. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at you got it. Are you into like astronomy? You've got a telescope.
Have you not seen my house before? Go up to
No.
it and press the
Oh, yeah.
E key.
E?
Yeah.
E for use.
Yeah, seriously, check it out.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at the telescope.
Do you see anything when you press E?
Oh. Oh, yeah.
There's a lot going out there, as we know. We tried to record before, and we're called various like racial epithets and blown up by tanks and shot by guns. It's not safe out there, Garrick. Don't go out there.
No. Let me just watch the heavens from the safety of your apartment.
No, come over here. Let's sit down and hang out.
All right. All right.
'Cause there's something I want to talk to you about.
Okay, good.
Have a seat here on my couch. Oh, let me turn off the TV. That's rude. I was just watching this show.
Oh, John Oliver?
I should be. I don't know who that is that I'm watching. All right, let's turn this off. You know what? Actually, I'll just turn it down. Oops. No, that's turning it up. There we go. Yeah, I was watching Illegal Street Racing, Cocaine Vice. So, Garrick, I've invited you here today for Tom and Bruce Online.
Yeah.
And it's apocalyptic out there. But
Sure is.
one thing that this game hasn't had, we're in Grand Theft Auto 5, by the way, this
V.
week. V 5, yeah, it's a Roman numeral. One thing this game doesn't have is any single player downloadable content, because they've been catering to those yahoos out on the street, giving them like multiplayer content. So we're never going to see in this game something that we saw in one of their previous games called Red Dead Redemption. They added the Undead Nightmares DLC, and it turned the whole western area into like a zombie apocalypse.
Oh, my.
That's not going to happen here because Rockstar's making money selling stuff to those people out there who were calling us like a fag and whatnot and blowing us up with tanks.
Yeah.
So it's terrible out there, but it's never going to be terrible enough to be. It's never going to be a zombie apocalypse terrible. We will probably not be getting that DLC. Does that bum you out?
Well, so I'm never going to see zombies.
I don't think so.
Yeah. No, that doesn't bother me at all.
Oh, wait a minute. The reason I wanted to ask you that is you were on a panel as because you're a neurosurgeon, you're a brain surgeon, a brain scientist. You were on a panel about zombies. You were invited to officially speak about zombies. What was up with that?
I was flown out to Comic-Con. Gosh, that was that 4 years ago already? Gosh. And yes, one of our mutual friends, PR, Stephanie in PR, she invited me out there, and I was on a panel with Max Brooks.
Oh my God! I didn't know you were. Ew.
Yeah, of World War Z.
Yeah. Ew.
And we just talked about zombies.
Do you know whose son he is, by the way?
Albert Brooks.
Oh, close. No, I think he's related to Mel Brooks.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other. Yeah, that's the other Brooks.
The other Brooks. Yeah. So he comes from basically show business royalty. So wait a minute. So Stephanie invited you, obviously, because she knows you're really into zombies.
Yeah. Well, I was there as the medical authority on the feasibility of the medical possibility of zombie apocalypse.
What? Okay. Well, what was your ruling? What did you decide about that?
Well, we didn't get too much into the hard science of it. I just made some comments about what kind of insurance zombies might have and what kind of procedures might be offered to people based on how much they could pay.
Wait, what? Zombie medical insurance? What are you talking about? Zombies are dead people. They don't.
Oh, well, maybe people wanted to become zombies. I don't know. It was a wide ranging talk.
All right. So what did Max Brooks have to say?
Zombie.
And I imagine there was a decent crowd because people wanted to know
Oh,
this
it was a huge
stuff.
crowd.
Yeah.
It was huge. I don't think that any of them were there for me, but I do remember a woman coming up and saying, how the audience would come up and ask questions to the panel and
QA.
one woman, it wasn't so much a question. She just said, if a zombie apocalypse happened, that would be the greatest day of my life.
Why would she think that? First of all, I love during QAs, like when I go to a movie screen or something, they have QA, and people get up there to answer questions, or after a talk.
Right.
And people, when they don't understand what a question is. Like they get up
Right.
there and talk, and so me and my friends will mutter under our breath, "Not a question, not a question." Why do you think she said such a thing?
I think she just was probably bored with life as we know it.
Bored or frustrated? Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah,
think that there's
possibly
this
frustrated,
there's
yeah.
this romanticizing of the collapse of society, because
Mm-hmm.
society causes a lot of your problems. You know, you have to pay bills in society. You have to
Yeah.
you have to deal you have to deal with your health care and your insurance, renter's insurance. I have renter's insurance for this lovely place here. See this? Yeah.
Yeah.
If there was an apocalypse, I wouldn't need renter's insurance. I just have to put a big old bar on that door over there.
Right.
Make sure nobody
and
got
shoot
in.
people who came in. Yeah.
And how much fun would that be? It would be like a video game to just shoot bad guys, and you could do
Right.
that in the apocalypse, by
Yep.
golly. And you know what you can do in a zombie apocalypse? You can do it guilt-free, because zombies aren't even people anymore.
Right.
They're just targets, and you can shoot them, and they get shot like people. You know, there's gore like people. It certainly is dramatic. They're meat. So I think that's part of romanticizing what it would be like if civilization collapsed.
Right.
It's the same. It's along the same lines as saying, "Boy, I wish I was alive in the medieval times." No, you don't,
Right.
because you would have disease and deprivation,
Right.
and you wouldn't have any rights. You do not. Yeah, there's this idea. I think just people take for granted what we get out of enlightened society. And they think, I wish it would go away. That said, I totally agree with her. It would be so awesome if there's a zombie apocalypse.
We're getting closer to that than you think, by the way. But that's a topic for another show.
To a zombie apocalypse or just an apocalypse?
To the end of civilization as we know it.
Yeah, you know what? Let's talk about that next week,
Okay.
by the way.
Okay. Good idea. Yeah. Well, I'll come back over and we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Well, but this is not a political conversation. This is more of
No.
a cultural conversation.
Right.
So what I want to know about you, what was when you were a kid?
Mm-hmm.
I know you were into all kinds of nerdy stuff like D&D and painting miniatures and all that
Oh
silliness.
yeah, absolutely.
What were zombies part of your childhood? Because we are of the age, zombies are the mythology of our childhood. Our generation invented this. This didn't come from any sort of ancient mythology. This isn't some sort of Germanic mythology. Tolkien didn't give us this. This is nothing like vampires or the Frankenstein monster from Mary Shelley. Our generation came up with this. So did it have a role in your childhood when you were a kid?
Not really. And do you want to know? You want to know a secret about me, by the way?
What?
Don't tell anybody.
Is it gonna explain why you're wearing those awful pants?
I don't know. It depends. You can maybe use it to deduce that, but I'm really squeamish.
Wait a minute, you're a brain surgeon. You have looked at inside people's skulls.
Yeah, I have.
And was so squeamish about what?
Well, it's interestingly enough, right? Like I don't have a problem with people's sort of medical problems or surgical cutting or things like that. I actually really don't like fantasy gore.
That is weird, because did you not watch horror movies as a kid?
No, never. Oh my gosh! One of the most traumatic things, movie-related things that I ever saw.
I can't wait to hear. Yes. What?
Do you know when in the movie Poltergeist, when the woman opens up the refrigerator and there's like the fried chicken or the chicken leg or something, it's got like maggots and just gross things crawling all over it.
And it's not the woman; it's one of the scientists, the young scientists, the skeptics,
Oh,
who's coming
yeah.
to chart
Okay.
to document the poltergeist.
Right,
Right.
right.
And it's this gross, maggoty meat. Right.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was so. I can't. That was just so. Just disturbing to me as a child.
That freaked you out more
Yes.
than a tree eating a kid or a scary clown doll coming alive
Yes.
or a giant skull like Eddie from an Iron Maiden album popping out of an interdimensional portal. That was what you took away from Poltergeist.
Yep. Yep,
What
that
about
was
the
worse.
what about the guy in Poltergeist ripping off his face? Because that same guy, I think later, it hallucinates that he's ripping off his own face, doesn't he?
Yeah. I don't really remember that. I mean, that might as well just be plastic surgery. But Yeah, all I remember is that is the leg, the maggoty leg, chicken leg.
Well, that is an integral part of zombie mythology, is this idea of zombies as rotted flesh, or the point of a zombie. And I think the kernel of this mythology is, what if a human being were deprived of what makes him or her a human being, identity. A zombie is someone who's dead, and their soul or whatever has gone to heaven, is the idea, and whatever's left is just that meat which is falling apart, driven purely by appetite. But the point is, as just meat, zombies rot and they bleed, and they don't care. They don't feel pain. They can be all maggoty and stuff. So, did you not see as a kid Night of the Living Dead?
I saw it. I don't think I saw it as a kid. Well, a kid, depending on what a kid is. I think I first saw Night of the Living Dead. Now, Night of the Living Dead is no, Dawn of the Dead. Which one is the first one?
Night of the Living Dead first. Night comes before dawn, and after dawn there is day. George Romero's trilogy went night, dawn, day.
Day. Okay. So I think I saw them as a freshman in college. So I think I was 18.
And do you remember what impression, if any, they made on you?
Didn't make much of an. I mean, I remember it is in one of them they have to nuke somebody, right?
You might be thinking of Return of the Living Dead. A great, great guy who died last year, I think, named Dan O'Bannon, was one of the first to make kind of a zombie comedy. And at the very end, the town gets nuked. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
And the idea being that this is, because another aspect of zombie mythology is that zombies, because they're infectious, I mean, I think part of why zombie mythology has really taken off is the AIDS epidemic and things about Ebola, just our awareness of virulent infectious disease. Zombies like virulent infectious disease, because zombies will infect other people. They're an existential threat to society, to existence. And as such, one of the only ways to contain them, and this is kind of Dan O'Bannon's joke, is nuke them, drop a nuke on them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a Cold War trapping in a way, is there's this black humor from the Cold War that nukes will solve problems. If it gets serious enough, you nuke the Russians. If it gets serious enough, you nuke wherever the zombies are.
Well, you have another theory about that, though. Not so much as the Cold War, but part of the Cold War, an episode of the Cold War. Sort of the. I think you tied it to the ineptitude of the military.
Well, in a way, the ineffectualness of the military, and what the way that asymmetrical warfare entered popular consciousness with Vietnam. It's like, hey, we won World War II. We're a great nation, and never mind Korea for now. Here we are in Vietnam with the world's greatest, most powerful military, and for various reasons that don't have that much to do with the ineffectuality of the military, just them being unable to fight the war they needed to fight to prevail in Vietnam. But we came away from that sort of realizing, wait a minute, our military can't save us, can't stop everything. And zombies are one of those things. Like even the military cannot stop zombies. Part of zombie mythology is, in Romero's day, is that the military is either ineffectual or evil. And that the military, one of the key moments in revitalizing zombie mythology for contemporary people is a movie called 28 Days Later. And one of the trappings of those kind of movies, 28 Days Later in a way, is very formulaic. Danny Boyle and the writer Alex Garland totally knew their source material. And part of that source material is that, hey, the military is showing up to save you, but guess what? They're evil. And that's what happens in 28 Days Later. Although you could argue it's not necessarily like it's mercenary, but they kidnap the women, like they want to use the women to save humanity, to breed, and they're evil, and the guy has to rescue them. So yeah, our perception of the military does play oftentimes into zombie mythology. Do you know the movie 28 Weeks Later?
That's the sequel.
It's the sequel, yeah.
I don't think I ever saw 28 Weeks Later. I just saw 28 Days.
So 28.
go ahead.
28 Weeks Later is. It turns a lot of zombie mythology on its head. And I think one of the aspects where it does that is with its portrayal of the military. The military in 28 Weeks Later is the military that we know, not from Vietnam, the folks who were basically run out of another country by poorly armed people in pajamas. The people we know in 28 Weeks Later, it's the military that went to Iraq and did the best they could with a really difficult situation. And they are compassionate. They are here for humanitarian missions. They are good people. They don't want to hurt anyone. They want to protect people. And sometimes they can't do that. And that was the point in 28 Weeks Later, where the military is compassionate and good, led by a fellow named Idris Elba, who is this great actor who I think he's totally cool and badass, and he's a friendly guy. Like, Idris Elba would never do a terrible thing to you. And he's the general who has to firebomb this colony. It's almost like nuking it. This place where humanity has restored itself. You know, he has to firebomb. It's almost like in Platoon where they call in the artillery on the camp. He has to firebomb the people he's trying to protect to save the world. And even that fails because of compassion, because there are other people who want to spare someone, who think they're helping. So yeah, the military does figure into a lot of zombie mythology.
It's kind of like an outbreak, huh?
Exactly. It's that whole infectious thing. Yeah, like zombies are not just a ghost that haunts a house.
Right.
They're not just a monster in a closet. They are an outbreak that, as I mentioned, is an existential threat to humanity.
Right.
That's
but in
part
an
of the
outbreak,
deal.
they drop the fuel air explosive.
Oh, the movie Outbreak. Why
Yeah.
do you know that? And not good. I guess being a doctor. Why,
Yeah,
Why,
they make us see that in medical school.
what zombie movies? Have any zombie movies made much of an impression on you?
Evil Dead 2.
Oh God, Garrick, that's not a zombie movie. That's a demon movie.
Really?
You really think those are zombies?
Aren't they?
No, not at all. Because again, in Evil Dead 2, well, they're that's more like someone who's possessed by a demon. And who is out to kill you, and the demons are sentient. They talk to you. Interestingly enough, Romero, he really he codified zombie mythology, what we know of zombies. But before Romero, there was a story called I Am Legend by, oh shoot, what's his name? Richard.
Will Smith?
Very good. Will Smith is the actor who played it, but dadgummit, I can't remember the guy who wrote it. He was a writer for Twilight Zone. I should know this guy's name. I feel awful. But he had this...
Morrow.
No, but again, good, yeah, that fella got killed in the Twilight Zone movie. Shoot, what is his name? But at any rate, Richard Matheson.
Okay.
I Am Legend was a story that was made into a movie with Vincent Price that inspired a lot of what Romero did, where every night this lone survivor, after civilization has collapsed, would have to board himself up in his house because his former neighbors, who'd been turned into, and I think they're called vampires in that movie, would surround his house and call him to come out and join them. And these weren't zombies because they weren't the mindless things that Romero envisioned, but it was this same idea that the house is being surrounded by people he formerly knew, because that's another aspect of zombie mythology, is these are people that you knew. You know, these aren't just random mobs. This is your friends and your family who will get infected in turn and then infect you, i.e. kill you. So, Garrick, what zombie games do you know? Because not this. We will not be seeing zombies outside that lovely window. Look at the hills
Left
right there.
4 Dead.
Yeah, okay, good. Although I think Left 4 Dead has zombies in it, but I think it's missing a lot of zombie mythology stuff. It's basically, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but Left 4 Dead is kind of like Robotron.
No.
You're just mowing down lots of things.
How about Dawn of the Zeds?
Dawn of the... Oh, no, board games. Yes, absolutely. Have you actually played that, or do you just know about it from me?
No, it's a State of Siege game, right?
Very much a State of Siege game, yeah. And State of Siege is perfect for zombies. Dawn of the Zeds is a great zombie board game. Yeah, how about... Yeah.
How about Rebuild?
Rebuild is... have you played that one?
Yes, I have.
That's Sarah Northway. That's a very good one that gets to this idea that you surviving a zombie apocalypse isn't just shooting zombies in the head, but it's reestablishing civilization and driving back the masses the undead masses that are rising up against you. Yeah, that's
now. Do those masses have to now? Do those masses have to go slowly?
Very good question. So when Danny Boyle made 28 Days Later, that was again something that he changed to some people's chagrin. The idea that Romero was getting at was slow, shuffling, moaning, but inevitable unstoppable masses of flesh. And kind of the metaphor there is the inevitability of chaos or death, and it's slowly creeping up on you all the time.
What is the Viet Cong?
The Viet Cong slow though? Are they slow masses? They're
There's a lot of
sneaky.
them.
They're like hidden.
Yeah.
You know what I think is more of a model of Vietnam is Cameron's Aliens. This idea that there are these enemies hidden out there and you can't see them and they could pop up at any moment and get you.
Although that's a very mythologized idea of Vietnam, right? I mean, that Vietnam actually wasn't like that. Like you say that, we were beaten by these people in pajamas. We certainly weren't.
Right.
We were beaten by a conventional, a Soviet-armed conventional army that we weren't willing to fight.
Right, exactly. But by the limitations of how far we could pursue the war, exactly,
Right.
by our own limitations.
But it still builds on this idea that we had a military that wasn't able to solve the problem that we had.
Right, exactly. And that there's so you mentioned Max Brooks. So his book is World War Z. I think it's pretty terrible. It's a bunch of short stories about, hey, what if there's a zombie apocalypse? This is what it'd be like in this country, and this is what these people would do. And
Right.
there are a few cool touches in it, including the entirety of North Korea going missing because they hide in underground bunkers. They just shut themselves up in underground bunkers and withdraw from the world, and nobody's sure, like, wait, where did they go? What happened to the North Koreans?
That's kind of a cool idea.
But another cool idea is, and this is just his imagery, he has this idea of the battle for New Jersey, where there are tanks and machine guns, and it's a conventional standoff, like a Battle of the Alamo, with a conventional military that is just overrun by the sheer masses of zombie flesh that are thrown at them.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good.
Yeah. So, but as for slower, fast zombies, what Danny Boyle did with 28 Days Later is he let the zombies run, and they're not even called zombies. They're infected with what's called the rage virus, and that breaks a couple of rules. One being, hey, you have to be dead to technically be a zombie, which is silly. That has nothing to do with it. That's not part of. If you're deprived of your identity, whether it's by a virulent disease or by death and resurrection of the flesh, it's the same thing. But it makes it much more directly relatable to infectious disease. This whole idea that you get it's like Ebola, you instantly get it. And furthermore, you don't shuffle slowly. You run, and you run in masses, and you literally just tear people apart with your hands. You're that angry. And that also gets us at this idea, too, of what we've seen with rioting, with just crowds going wild. And fast zombies do that. A fellow named Simon Pegg, who did a very good zombie movie. I'm not as fond of it as a comedy as some people are, but he did a movie called Shaun of the Dead, which I think is just if you look at it as a formulaic zombie movie, it's quite good. Simon Pegg objected to the zombies being fast. He famously wrote this essay online. It's like, no, zombies shouldn't be fast. That makes them not zombies. And I totally disagree with that sort of thing.
You disagree with that?
I do, because it's not. That says to me he doesn't understand what the point of zombies are. It's not whether they're fast or slow. It's what part of the zeitgeist do they tap into, and if it's infectious disease, if it's the fear of mobs and rioting, yeah, they can run fast. And plus, that's more like everybody. A slow shuffling zombie, you just have to constantly be walking away from it, and you're fine. There's this idea of its inevitability, sure, but it's not as terrifying as something that is running full speed at you that will never be tired. If you have slow zombies, get in a car. Just keep driving away from them. You'll be fine. But yeah, if they're just running like crazy and they don't even give you time to get the car door open, well, then you're screwed.
Yeah. Well, can I run another theory of fast zombies by you?
Yes, please do.
Yeah. I think that fast zombies, I think the whole idea of the fast zombie sort of motif is, I think the real idea of this group of people that become enraged and just you can't escape them. I think it's all about social media.
I love that theory, and there's a fellow named Charlie Booker who's a really clever British writer. He's known for the modern day equivalent of Twilight Zone is something called Black Mirror. And Charlie Booker wrote a zombie movie called Dead Set in 2008, which it's not about social media per se, but it's about reality TV and just the hysteria around celebrity that's created, and he sort of translates that into a zombie attack. But explain how social media and zombie mythology are related.
Well, I think that this whole idea that now that once upon a time when you read the newspaper and watched the evening news, you had sort of a limited ability to interact with people, right? I mean, there were the people down the street, your next door neighbors. When I was a kid, there were the kids in my class, in my school, and whatever. We would come home from school, we'd play basketball, we'd play, catch with our baseball mitts, we would throw a football around, whatever, ride our bikes. But we had a limited ability to interact with other people. And I think that as social media has become sort of the be-all, end-all of our social interaction, it becomes almost impossible to get away from people. And in fact, that being alone is something that is almost impossible to achieve because there are these enraged, masses of humanity that are trying to disturb your equilibrium because somebody's angry about something or there's some social issue that even though you might not be involved in it, you are being pressured to become involved as an activist because how can you stand by while blah 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 and retweeting and everybody is so interconnected that you cannot escape these rushing hordes of people who sort of lose their humanity because of course social media I think strips out a lot of our humanity in the sense that you become reduced to these little, feeds or tweets or
a lot of your
timelines.
a lot of your identity. Yeah, because that's part of it too, is
Right.
losing your identity as an individual.
Right.
And I think too that whole fear of collectivism in a way that was a huge part of the Cold War. That also was part of what made zombie mythology so effective.
Yes,
we
exactly.
could imagine maybe not then it wasn't the social media hordes, but it was the communist hordes. We didn't want to be a part of that. We didn't want to get swallowed up by a red tide. So I wonder if that's why millennials might respond to zombie mythology well, is this idea that there is this horde out there that's constantly dogging your heels.
Can't escape it.
You can't. So I'm going to recommend a couple of zombie movies for you.
Okay, go.
28 Weeks Later,
Okay.
I really think you should see because it flips zombie mythology on its head. It flips the perspective on the military on its head. And humanity's fatal flaw in that movie is not the fact that in a zombie mythology story there's always the asshole who's a jerk, who's a psycho, and he ends up breaking down the barricades, letting the zombies in. The tragic flaw in humanity in 28 Weeks Later is that we're compassionate, that we care about each other. We're too humane.
Too humane.
Too humane to stand up against inhumanity, against inhumane mobs. Absolutely. Now
And
here's
Idris Elba's in it.
and Idris Elba is in it. Exactly. Do you know who Jeremy Renner is? Hawkeye from the Avengers. That's probably how you know him.
I do know Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye because I did see that Avengers movie.
Yeah, he's in it. Do you know who Rose? This is probably going way beyond your ken. Do you know who Rose Byrne is, or Imogene Poots?
Imogene Poots was in National Lampoon Vacation.
Maybe she might have been. Why would you know that? If you
Is that Imogene?
There's an
Imogene
Imogene Coco who's an old woman.
Oh, Imogene Coca. Yeah, that's the one. I'm sorry.
No. Imogene Poots is considerably younger. But anyway, there's some great actors in 28 Weeks Later. So also, I wouldn't recommend this to many people, but you are someone who's capable of appreciating really long, boring, black and white, tedious
Okay.
Russian movies, like foreign movies where they don't even speak English.
Yep.
Here's one like that, and it's actually kind of difficult to find. It's called The Dead Outside. And it's
Okay.
really, they might as well be a foreign language because a lot of times they're quiet, and I think they're very Irish. You can't really tell what they're saying. But the world's been ended by an infectious disease, and it's about these survivors and how they relate to each other and how they relate to the people they've lost. And I think a lot of zombie mythology disregards or glosses over this idea that it's really traumatic to lose your loved ones. You don't have them turn into zombies and then merrily run around headshotting zombies and going on a great adventure afterwards. So Dead Outside is really good.
Now I may have seen something like that. I think with our mutual friend Deslock, I went to the several times went to the Toronto National Film Festival. One time we went and saw a zombie movie that was in Scotland, I think.
Oh my gosh, have you seen The Dead Outside? And there's this woman who's in a farmhouse.
Yeah, something like that. But
Yeah,
it was real goofy, and it was George Romero.
Oh, good Lord, no. Oh, you probably saw like Isle of the Dead or one of his terrible latter-day zombie movies.
Yeah.
Don't see anything George Romero has made after, frankly, after Dawn of the Dead, because even Day of the Dead's kind of goofy. But oh, I'm so sorry you had to sit through that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Garrick, that was probably presented to you as, hey, here's the guy who's made the best zombie movies of all time.
That's exactly
Let's go see
exactly how it was.
And you must have been thinking, good Lord, zombie movies must all suck if this is wow.
Yeah, I was like, well, how can this be even? How can anybody even watch this?
Yeah, you shouldn't have watched that. I'm really sorry you saw that, Garrick. That's just sad. That's sad. No, Dead Outside is it's super slow, super artsy.
Perfect.
Not
I love
artsy,
it.
but yeah, exactly. If you like
I'll
your
watch it.
your long, goofy Russian movies, that might be up your alley. And of course, there's Walking Dead. You watch Walking Dead. Who do you think Negan killed? Do you think maybe it's Glenn?
Do you mean Walking Tall with Sheriff Buford T. Pusser?
Wow, that's a blast from the past. Oh, no. Do you know who has played Buford Pusser in the remake? I think. Isn't there a Dwayne Johnson The Rock remake of Walking Tall
There might be.
where he plays Buford Pusser?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, well, maybe you should work on that, Gary.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to watch the first one first though, because that was a good movie.
The first Walking Tall?
Yeah. Wasn't it?
No. Well, it's not the first one. I think it's a reboot.
Oh, is it the first one? The first one from like 1975?
Yeah, well, that's the original. It's not like one. Well, I'm sorry. I thought you meant it's not like Walking Tall 2, starring
Oh.
Dwayne Johnson. It's like let's remake Walking Tall, except instead of wouldn't that have been not Robert Mitchell? What's that guy's name? I can picture him. Joe Don
Robert
Baker.
Mitchum?
Isn't it Joe Don Baker
I don't know.
played Buford Pusser?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Do you know the movie Rolling Thunder with William Devane, where he gets his hand shoved into a garbage disposal?
No, I know the name. I know the movie Blue Thunder.
Is Midnight Cowboy the only movie that you really remember and root for?
Midnight Cowboy was freaking great.
Sure, in its day. You know, we might have to have a Tom and Bruce online about old movies.
Sure.
All right.
I love it.
Oh, we got something important coming up next week that we're going to have a Tom and Bruce on. So join us for that in about a week. I don't know. Should we try to do it outdoors? I mean, it's really scary out there. There are people
We're getting shot, and you know,
there's
like,
there's a guy in a tank. There was a guy in
Yeah.
a tank running around who blew up one of my muscle cars, and I don't get that back.
yeah. Well, it's nothing like when C Money shot us.
Oh my gosh, C Money. That could be him for all we know. Good Lord. All right, well, this has been Tom and Bruce Online. Here we are in Los Angeles, in my apartment on Wilshire. We'll be back in a week to talk about something that's, I'd say, the most important topic we've discussed so far, and probably the least related to video gaming at this point.
I would expect so.
Yeah, so we'll see you guys for that next week.
All right. All right, cool. Before I go, I'm gonna check out your telescope here. So.
Yeah, sure. You can see lots
All
of things. Oh, you know what? No, Garrick, forget the telescope. Come over here, Garrick. I got something for you.
All right.
First of all, do you know what that is on that table there?
That is a lamp.
Yeah, it's a lamp, exactly. Very good. Garrick, come over here and have a little of this. Try this. This right here, see where I'm in front of? This right here is a 300-year-old smooth blended Scotch whiskey rye. Have a taste of that. You see?
Or is it White Lightning?
Oh, isn't that a Burt Reynolds movie?
Probably.
Yeah,
Can
have
I
a taste.
use this?
Yeah, have a taste of that. Some of that. Don't
Oh.
drink all of it, but leave me some of it,
All right. Okay.
and then let me know what you think.
Okay.
Yeah, how was that? Doesn't that go down smooth?
Woo!
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, now it's time to tell you I made that in my bathtub.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there's a guy, I got to tell you, you drive about 20 minutes down south of Pittsboro and get on 87, North Carolina 87.
Right.
And there's a place you can get White Lightning.
Actual
homemade
moonshine.
Yep.
Moonshine. Right.
Absolutely.
Have you tasted it?
No, it's one of the things I want to do before I leave North Carolina.
Oh yeah, you definitely have to do that. I'm sure. I'm from Arkansas, and I've never even had moonshine. So.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Okay.
you'll have to let us know. We'll talk about that on our Tom and Bruce Online about our favorite drinks, maybe.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right, so come back next week. It's a very important. Garrett, go easy on that stuff. Come back next week for a very important Tom and Bruce Online. We'll see you guys then. You're drunk now, Garrick. Give me your car keys. You can't.
No.
You can't drive home
Oh,
like
everything's
this.
everything's going crazy.
Oh my gosh, you're getting drunk in my apartment, and this is really embarrassing. I'm gonna have to call your wife to come get you. Where's my phone?